Alright, welcome back everybody to Higurashi no Nakokoro ni. So we are in the middle of connecting all these fragments. So like I said, I'm trying to keep like similar characters in the same episode. I'm doing like about an hour each, but like it's gonna be hard because like you need certain things for certain things. And so anyways, so let's just do the ones that say the first fragment is required and then try to figure it out. So I think the next My name is Satoko Hojo. But Hojo is my current father's family name. I was also Satoko Hatake, Satoko Yoshizawa, and also Satoko Matsura. Oh my god, I'm such a... Because of my previous fathers. I'm still not used to being called Hojo-san. If someone calls me Satoko, then I know that person's talking to me. Because Satoko's the name I've been using since I was born. I don't understand why my mother keeps getting married and divorced. If she's going to get a divorce, why does she get married? If she's married, why does she get a divorce? I've asked her before, but depending on the situation, her answers were different. When I asked her when she was married, she got angry. When I asked her after she got divorced, she cried. I don't understand the meaning of marriage. So I have no interest in drawing pictures of the bride in a wedding dress. I don't think I'll ever get married. I don't want to keep changing my child's last name. My teacher once asked me if I liked my mother. I think it was when I was in kindergarten in Okonomiya. That was a very difficult question. Because sometimes I loved her very much, and sometimes I hated her very much. I couldn't decide. When my mother was nice, she smiled all the time. She made us happy. She thanked me for being her daughter. When my mother wasn't nice, she frowned all the time. She treated my brother and me very poorly. She told me I should have never been born. My teacher asked me if I liked my father. That was a very easy question, because I always hated him very much, no matter who he was. The new fathers always treated me nicely at first, as if I was their real daughter. They always told me I could think of them as their real father. But they couldn't be my real father. Besides, I didn't even know my real father's face. How could I call them my father? I couldn't. It was disgusting. Right before divorce, my fathers always became very irritated with me. They treated me like a cockroach. They told me they didn't have money to feed me. They threw things at me and they locked me out of the veranda. I was told I could forget about that because that was all in the past. I think that was a different teacher from a different school. Maybe that's true. Because ever since Hojo became my father, my mother's been smiling. I haven't seen them get into a fight, as I have seen happen just before a divorce. They have little arguments here and there, but they don't lead to a divorce, and they always make up. But I'm sure they'll get a divorce sooner or later. Then it'll be the same old stuff with the family court, divorce settlements, and night flight and child support. Is her mom like a secret? There's this movie that I watched. Ugh, I don't remember the name of it. Very older movie. Where like a mom and daughter couple like marry rich men and then divorce them for money. Like that's kind of what this reminds me of. So who knows how long this Hojo like is her mom doing that? Hojo will be my father. That's why I don't even feel like calling him that. He also treated me well at first, but when I didn't call him father, even after he asked me repeatedly, he became irritated. He'll get a divorce soon. When my father gets into this mood, a divorce is on the way. After a divorce, it's my mother's turn to be irritated with me. And she'll tell me she shouldn't have had me, or she can't be happy because of me. Why is my existence causing problems for my mother? I asked my brother and he told me, if you have children, it's not easy to find someone to get married with. To my mother, remarriage is a very important job, so I can understand having children around will cause problems. I think I finally understand the reason I'm a nuisance to her. I asked my brother something else. Why are children hated by new fathers? That's simple. That's because family members all have different roles. A mother's job is to love her children. A father's job is to love the mother. Oh my god, this girl is so messed up that she will be messed up for the rest of her life unless she can get out of this. That means I'm a nuisance to both my mother and my father. Oh, why is it getting red? My brother's more mature than me, so they don't look down on him as a nuisance. But maybe I am. No, I definitely am a nuisance. Now I know. Both my father and mother want me dead. Did Satoko kill them? We know for a fact that Satoko has the disease. I think that's what the red means, is that the disease is, or curse, I'm gonna say curse, because I've used parasites. Anyways, the curse is getting to her. But if they kill me, they'll be caught. That doesn't mean they won't kill me. If I were to look down the cliff, and if no one was around, my mother and father would push me off for shore. She did do it, yeah. I have a feeling. My father has become abnormally nice to me recently. He started to act that way ever since I made the fake call. I know for sure it's just a part of the plot to kill me. So I won't let them trick me. I'm sorry. Lately, when I listen very carefully, I can hear a voice apologizing. Voice sounds similar to mine. Her mother must be telling her that she shouldn't have been born. I'm sorry. But I won't apologize like that. I'll live. I'm going to strike back. I'll kill before I get killed. I'm sorry. Satoko is the one that killed them. The plot thickens. Okay, well now we have the truth of the accident, which I think was needed for something. Manager, come on, say something! Manager! You idiot! He's dead already! A loud noise snapped everybody out of it. Someone dropped the shovel he was holding. The shovel was smeared with reddish-black blood. No, not just the shovel. All 6 construction workers' clothes were blood-soaked. One of them cried out to the silent dead body of the manager, which was drenched in blood. Manager! Shut up! He's already dead! It was self-defense, right? Self-defense! The fight had started after the manager yelled at them for drinking beer inside the office. There were no drinking and no smoking signs everywhere. The manager harshly scolded anyone who broke that rule. So it was the 6 workers' fault for disobeying. But they drank because they were stressed out by the anti-dam protesters. Wait, you're telling me that the death of the guy had nothing to do with the Hinamizawans? That's why they said things to provoke the manager. He told them to step out, and the others went along. The construction workers toiled hard in long hours. That's why they instigated the fight with the manager to release their stress. They had expected to just curse at each other or end up in a wrestling match. But things escalated. Or to put it more accurately, the manager exploded all of a sudden. The manager had to deal with the residents' protests as well. So he was under just as much pressure, or even maybe more. But how he changed, oh I see, he was cursed, was not normal. The manager was calm at first, but he gradually became more aggressive, and it was like he transformed into someone completely different. No, it was like he was possessed by something evil. The men who instigated the fight sobered up when they saw his behavior. Then, the manager picked up a shovel that was nearby and tried to smash his opponent's head in with it. He managed to avoid the hit, but if he didn't, his head would have surely been split open. The manager kept pounding on him with a shovel, even as he frantically tried to avoid the hits. By this time, the workers had realized this was beyond a simple fight, so they tried to hold the manager down. The manager turned on them with a shovel too. One of the men tried to protect himself by crossing his arms over his head. But there was no way that could have blocked a shovel swing with full force. Blood spurted out, and the man groaned in pain. By this time, the 6 men had realized the manager was not his usual self. This manager would try to bash their brains in without hesitation. Since their opponent was using a shovel as his weapon, they had to find some kind of weapon too. One of them grabbed a huge hammer. Then the other realized they need to find something as well. To restrain the manager in that condition, it was better to arm themselves. It wasn't supposed to be this way. It didn't take long for the madness to infect the 6 workers. It was only a matter of time before they went from restraining him to lynching him. By the time they realized what had happened, the manager was already a lump of meat. His face was swollen, shreds of skin had been torn off, and his muscles and skull were visible. Obviously, he was quite dead. Fuck! He almost killed us, remember? If he hadn't attacked us, we wouldn't have fought him, right? The leader of the 6, the one who instigated the fight, tried to bring the rest to his side, but nobody replied. And so, the leader became frustrated. He was the one who started the fight. The rest simply joined in. He was the main perpetrator. Maybe that was why he was feeling so exasperated. He sensed that he was the one at fault. Don't just stand there! It's too late! We killed him! And there's nothing we can do about it! They're all murderers now! You ain't thinking about turning yourself into doing time, are you? Fuck you! I can't go to the slammer at my age! We're hiding it. We're hiding this corpse and pretending nothing happened. Some of them knew he was on probation for assault before. So if he got into the trouble with the law again, the punishment would be more severe than they could imagine. That was why he was trying desperately to find a way out. If he was alone with the manager's body, then he wouldn't have behaved this way. All he would have to do is hide the manager's body and pretend nothing happened. But there were 6 of them, including him. They were partners in crime, and witnesses too. If even one of them turned himself in out of guilt, he'd be in big trouble. But even if we hide the body, they'll find out sooner or later. Instead, we should just plead justifiable self-defense and they might end up pardoning us. Don't be so stupid. Look what we did. Look at his face. Who would think this is a result of self-defense? His parents wouldn't even be able to identify him in this condition, you idiot. But even if we hide it, Everyone's gonna find out tomorrow morning when the manager doesn't show. It's hopeless. What's hopeless is your damn brain, you shithead. He slapped the other man in the face. The leader had such an evil look in his eyes. Listen well, dipshits. We're all murderers, okay? Keep gripping now and we'll get slammed with 5 or 6 years. Just one of you here try to blab. 5 or 6 years for murdering somebody? That seems quite lenient. Don't underestimate the pen. If you're prepared to be caught anyway, then run like your life depends on it. You can resign yourself to it later when it's time to pay the piper. What? His visage turned more and more demonic. It was the same expression the manager had just a few minutes before. Was he possessed by the same thing that possessed the manager? The 5 men started to think that way. Now that they considered it, all the villagers in the anti-dam protest had the same expressions on their faces too. The real name of Hinamizawa was Onigafuchi Village. People said that wicked demons lived there, and sometimes they possessed people. The men couldn't help but to recall that exaggerated story often told by the demonstrators. The manager swung the shovel after his expression changed to the demonic one. There was no guarantee this man wouldn't do the same. In fact, he was still squeezing the hammer in his hand, glaring at everyone and threatening them. If someone suggested surrendering, he'd probably smash their head in with it. I know. To make sure nobody betrays the rest, I have an idea. I'll make it easier to hide the body, too. What is it? We're gonna cut up the body into 6 pieces. What? They all wanted to object to the idea. Killing him was a serious crime itself. Dismembering the body would be too much. But if anyone objected, he'd be killed on the spot. So no one said anything. We'll all cut him up together. Remember what the manager used to say? Teamwork! We're all in this together. We'll each take a body part and hide it responsibly. What do you think, huh? This way we're all equally guilty, right? Won't let anyone give themselves up. The 5 men were all taken in by his ghastly face. And they could even feel the fear of the Onigafuchi demons creep up their backs. The recruiter can't shoot. Okay, well that's the truth about the manager. I don't know who Koizumi said. Oh wait, Koizumi is, I know who that is. Oishi! I don't know what to say. I want to say something, but I can't think of the right words. I can only say... Ah, Oishi-san. I've been looking for you. Section manager asked me about that wanted poster. Be quiet. This is a place of rest. As Kumagai barged into the room, the old coroner quickly snapped back at him. Sorry. The section manager asked me to ask about the wanted poster for the suspect. Ah, can you talk to Komiyama-kun about that? I need to speak to the coroner here. Could you tell him I'll be right over? Okay. Kumagai ran out of the autopsy room like such haste he entered in. Lively, isn't he? The old man would have slapped him for making such a fuss. You probably should go back too. The air in here isn't for people who aren't used to it. You're right. If I slack off too long, I might get slapped as well. Here Here in Shibone, all the hoodlums cross the street when you pass through, yet he's the only one, past or future, who's ever punched you for splitting your sumo wrong. He really was a merciless man. I think he punched me more than my real father. Doesn't matter if he was your real one or not. If you looked up to him in the same way, then he really was a father to you. My real father passed away in Nagoya. He was unlucky. If he wasn't given the order to move to a plant in Nagoya, he wouldn't have died in an air raid. If he could have rode it out another half a year or so, then the war would have been over. I was sad, of course, but I was grown up enough by then I didn't cry into the ground like my mother did. But people feel sadness in different ways. Some people, it comes all at once as an overwhelming wave, but others feel sadness gradually over a long period of time. I think I was the latter. When he was alive, I only thought of him as annoying. In my mind, I even cursed him with questions about why he avoided the draft. And I thought my feelings towards him would always be the same. Then the war ended. As I saw families and friends being reunited with joy as they came home from the front, it finally happened. I grieved for my father's death. Japan was filled with people who were sad and full of despair. I knew I wasn't the only one whose life ended up that way. But I remember I was very, very heartbroken. After the war, the nation changed completely. As a policeman, the environment I worked in went through sudden changes too. In order to forget my sorrow, the only thing I could do was devote myself to work. At the time, I was in charge of busting people for buying rice illegally. I conducted spot checks on travelers at major stations, and boy, did I find a lot of them. There's a fairly big black market in Kakuta. A lot of people came from far as Osaka to buy rice. After the war, Japan faced a chronic shortage in food supply. To those ends, the nation instituted a food rationing program by signing the Food Control Act. But the rations the government provided weren't even close to being enough to feed families. Therefore, people had no choice other than to buy food on the supplies in the black market. The government hardly had enough food for rations, but there was somehow plenty on the black market. The dealers there sold it at outrageous prices, and some of them became quite wealthy. The Sonozaki family made their money through the black market, but that's another story. The government didn't bother arresting these dealers. But with their money, they were able to buy off the top members of the police department. Instead, they decided to go after the people buying the goods and even confiscated the rice they bought by selling everything they owned. Yeah, I remember that. Wasn't there a prosecutor who starved himself to death? Yep, there was. The prosecutor who vowed not to eat illegal rice starved to death, wasn't it 1947? That was horrible. He, a public prosecutor, proved it himself that people couldn't survive by adhering to the law. The prosecutor had grown tired of the government charging people with doing whatever they could to survive, and he proclaimed that he was never gonna buy black market rice again. In 1947, he starved to death when he was only in his mid-30s. The law prohibited people from buying black market rice, but that was the only way to survive. In that case, was the Food Control Act bad law in itself? The death of the prosecutor was seen as a desperate message to the government about the injustice of that law. I really don't understand the point of this fragment. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. We rounded up people with bags of rice and lined them up at a temporary inspection point next to the station. It was like a military tribunal. We inspected their bags and confiscated everything that they bought at the black market. The women all cried. They sold everything they owned to buy the rice. They pleaded that if we confiscated the rice, how would they feed their starving children? Doesn't make sense, huh? Yet they forbade you from going after the sellers, so it was absolutely unfair from the view of the people. Everyone was on edge. If they heard a police inspection was set up at the next station, they'd jump off the train and run. We were aware of these people, so we set up several officers near jump-off spots in order to capture them. I remember chasing after women carrying several kilos of rice on them. Oh, I see. That was when I first met the old man. Man, I was surprised. Remember my father? He looked exactly like him. I thought my father had miraculously survived the air raid in Nagoya. I was chasing a man who was running away from the inspection point. There was no way for him to run with a heavy bag of rice on him. So either he'd get arrested with illegal rice or escape by ditching that rice. In other words, if a person is being chased by the police, that person can't provide his family any rice to eat. Of course I felt guilty about it. I knew people had to buy rice to survive. So we had a tacit agreement to let those who ditched the rice and ran get away. So I always thought the same thing as I chased him. Please throw it away. I didn't want to catch him, because I didn't want to hear him crying and pleading in distress. It was then that the old man showed up. He looked exactly like my dead father. I was dumbfounded. Then all of a sudden he punched me in the head. If a father disciplines you as a child, you lower your head in apology. I was so happy to see my father alive I couldn't hold my joy in. The old man said, "Let him go." When I heard his voice, I realized he wasn't my father. So I thought I'd arrest him for assaulting a policeman. But a young man like me, who'd barely grown any hairs yet, was no match for an older man used to fighting. He sure taught me a lesson. He gave me a good scold in the middle of the street after I was beat up. Who would even listen to him, right? But something struck me then. I kept seeing my father in him. All I could do was listen. Yeah, he was a ruffian, but he showed guts like a real man. That's what made him such a great guy. We don't see men like him nowadays. He was a true example of a man from the good old times. Despite my age, I still needed a father. I needed someone to look up to and show me what makes a man. When I think about it, I really did have two fathers. Once again, what is the relevance of this? I don't know. The old man was a father, a brother, and my best friend. But now... What? Was she in the first Victor? That makes sense as to why he's so... because he's always been so, like... forceful about the curse. But, okay. But now here he lies with his head, body, arms, and legs all dismembered. And his right arm hasn't been found. Taught me how to be a man, how to enjoy alcohol, how to play mahjong. And with that right arm, he gave me a good beating when I did something wrong. But the right arm's still missing. Do you have any suspects? Yeah, of course. I swear I'll find the old man's right arm and pay them back for what they've done to him. They're running Hinamizawa from the shadows and inciting this collective crime they call a damn protest. Sonozaki family. Interesting that he's wrong, though. I declare war within myself. I already know who my enemy is. Okay. I was wondering why we were talking about some random person. Wow, okay. Interesting. I think we can do this one. The Hojo family is well known for going against the whole village during the dam conflict. Both the husband and wife were rather aggressive, and they fought a fierce battle, especially against the Sonozaki family. Although the whole village treated them coldly, the husband and wife didn't really care and kept on fighting. In a way, they were extremely strong-willed people. I'm sure their children had to go through a lot because of them, though. Satoko-chan and Satoshi-kun were treated coldly by the villagers as well. In addition to that, Satoko-chan and her stepfather didn't get along, so their stress levels must have reached their limit. Oh. Because I'm the director of a local clinic and rather respected member of society, people usually tell me a lot of things. So I was aware of the treatment they were receiving even before I met them. I met Satoshi-kun first. Satoshi-kun came to the clinic because he felt ill from too much stress. He must have thought he had a cold. When I examined him, he even told me that. By hearing his repeated sighs and by seeing the exhausted look in his eyes, I knew right away it wasn't just a simple cold. Medication would heal his symptoms, but that'd only be a temporary measure. The only way to truly cure him would be to change his living environment. But that was easier said than done. He was surrounded by tangled and complicated relationships with the village and his family, so just resting for a few days and taking some medication wouldn't do. Time was the only thing that could ease off the cold treatment from the villagers, but we were talking a very, very long time. That's why I felt I had to be their first ally in this village so I could rescue them. I couldn't do anything about his stressful environment, but I could try to diminish the anxiety. So I thought the best way to teach him was how to vent his stress. And playing sports is the best way to do that. So I asked him to join the junior baseball team that I coach. As a resetter, I devote most of my time to the Hinamizawa syndrome, but I too do need something to relax. I used to play baseball, so I decided to coach the local kids team. After a while, the children of Hinamizawa started their own baseball team and somehow I became their coach. Doctors can't provide health just by giving medication. You need a sound mind and sound body. I believe health can be maintained through sports as well. But our team needed more people, so I thought of asking Satoshi to join. Being a bookworm, first I heard that, Satoshi-kun wasn't interested in playing sports. I wasn't sure how joining the baseball team would help his situation. I didn't need to go on and on about the athletic medicine to explain why sports help people become healthy. I just wanted him to experience it himself, to realize how great it feels to play sports. I think he realized it gradually. He was reluctant till the very end, but he attended all the team activities and games. As I saw Satoshi-kun slowly regain his liveliness, I realized my plan worked. However, if Satoshi-kun was under that much stress, then Satoko-chan, who lived in the same family climate, must have felt the same way. Unfortunately, I didn't think of her back then. So when Satoko was carried into my clinic as a patient, I regretted doing nothing about her even while knowing the situation. As Satoshi-kun recovered under my guidance, Satoko-chan was left alone in her stressful environment. Also around that time, there was an incident bad enough to make Satoko collapse. That was, of course, her parents' deaths. The day of the Wachinagashi festival was a very uncomfortable time for the Hojo family, because although it was a village festival, it was also a day to celebrate victory over the dam construction project. It's understandable that they would plan a family trip around that time so they could leave the village. Satoko's parents fell off a cliff at the park they were visiting. It happened on such an unlucky day. Because it happened on the day of the Wachinagashi, people said it was the curse of the Oyashiro-sama. And people labeled the Hojo family as one that was cursed by Oyashiro-sama. The parents were given the cold shoulder by everyone in the village. So with the parents gone, Satoshi and Satoko should have been freed from that, but unfortunately the accident happened on the day of the Wachinagashi. That's why the members of the Hojo family continued to be shunned. Toko was the only one who was at the site of the accident. Toko killed her parents. Satoshi didn't go on the trip because he had an event with the baseball team. Therefore, the police mainly interrogated her. Detective... Oh my gosh. So Oishi's just been blinded this whole time because he thought it was the Sonozakis when all of these, I feel, are going to be separate acts. The detective, Oishi, suspected an act of organized crime by the village. Though with Satoko as the only witness on site, he drilled her with questions. She was as stressed as Satoshi, perhaps even more, so of course she couldn't take it. During the interrogation, she began to wheeze and gasp for air. The anguished look I saw on Satoko's face when she was carried into the clinic was very, very tragic. It broke my heart just to imagine what she had gone through. Coach, is Satoko okay? Yes, don't worry. She's a bit confused, but only temporarily, that's all. May I see her? She finally fell asleep, so I'd rather not wake her just yet. Let's let her rest for a while. Maybe it's a good idea to have her stay here for a few days too. Don't worry. I'll take good care of her. Thank you. I know Satoshi's a great big brother who truly cares about his sister. He empathizes deeply with her. In other words, Satoshi's worries and stress were reflecting Satoko-chan herself. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but while Satoshi was, of course, sad about his parents' death, he may, at the same time, have been a little relieved that they were gone. His sister wouldn't have to be driven into a corner anymore. Unlike Satoshi, Satoko didn't have the social skills to get along with her stepfather. So putting her mother aside, I was certain that losing her father, the greatest cause of stress in her life, would bring great change to her home environment. But I couldn't believe what happened next. The two were sent to live in an even worse environment with their aunt and uncle. Although at the time, I was rather optimistic, thinking this new environment would be better for the siblings. Clearly it wasn't. Alright, let's do one more. Yep. I ran into Satoko while on my way to the grocery store for my mother. Satoko said she was going there too. I don't know who we are yet, so we decided to go together. I'm gonna guess it's Rika, just for... After exchanging our shopping lists, it became easy to guess what the other family would be having for dinner. Satoko's family is having grilled fish and cooked vegetables. We're having Salisbury steak. My, that sounds very good. I don't mind the grilled fish, but it's the vegetables I'm less fond of. I'm certain there's still plenty of pumpkin left from the other day. And I'll bet you'll be getting a lot tonight. Poor Satoko. I don't appreciate knowing that pumpkin is going to show up on the dinner table. Aww. Meep. You don't like pumpkin no matter how it shows up. Rika! You have some food you're not fond of, don't you? That's right, you don't like daifuku, cream puffs, or anything sweet, do you? It's not that I don't like those things. I just choose not to eat them. If I wanted to, I could eat sweets forever. I could even eat pumpkin pie too. Nipa. Oh, it's not fair you aren't a picky eater. Conversations like this are how I have fun. Satoko's my best friend. I usually don't like grocery shopping, but if I'm with Satoko, I can make it into an enjoyable evening stroll. Near the supermarket, there's a grocer's and other shops forming a little shopping district. The grocery store is busy this time of day. All the housewives in Hinamizawa gather here to shop. Since Satoko and I have different things to buy, we decided to do our shopping separately.
Welcome, welcome. Oh, Rika-chama. Are you shopping with him for your mother? What a good girl.
Nipa. I'm a good girl who can go shopping by herself.
Wow, you really are a good girl. I wonder if Rika's possessed yet or not. Here, I'll give you this.
There were several candies for the owner's occasional asthma attack inside a sieve full of change hanging in the front. He picked out a sweet from there and gave it to me. It was my favorite flavor.
Ooh, strawberry milk is a thing.
Strawberry milk. I put it in my pocket so I could brag about it to Satoko later. I had a lot of fun out of teasing Satoko and making her jealous. She always overreacts, so I never get bored when I'm with her.
What you having for dinner tonight, Rika-chama? Ground pork?
We're making Salisbury steak. We're going to put flower-shaped fried eggs on top and draw pictures on them with ketchup.
Oh, sounds like fun.
I enjoyed that conversation while filling my shopping basket. But then I overheard some women whispering. They're talking about something that's a little harsh. They're talking about Satoko.
Long do those village traders plan to stay here? They should just leave. They don't even have the guts to go shopping themselves and make their daughter do it instead.
The woman went on and on. Ever since the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family got into a huge fight at the explanatory meeting for the dam project, the Hojo family has been ostracized within the village. At first, there was a significant number of families in favor of leaving, like the Hojos. But the main branch of the Sonozakis led a push to completely solidify the village opinion. And as that tone of unified resistance grew stronger, the pro-evacuation families steadily grew quiet. The public harassment led by the Sonozakis and Kimiyoshis, two of the three families, was a powerful influence on the village. The Sonozaki family made the Hojo family into an example to ensure there would be no more pro-evacuation supporters. The ancestors of the village have lived here for generations, and the villagers also know that they themselves will be buried in this village. So this harassment put a lot of pressure on them. Who was it that agreed to make the Hojo family the leader of the pro-evacuation group at the explanatory meeting? Those same people no longer said anything, and they even joined in on harassing the Hojos. The harassment they faced then became pressure from the entire village. The Hojo family's hardly wealthy, and they haven't paid the town council fees in a long time. When things were peaceful, nobody said anything about it. But now that the wind was blowing a different way, the Hojo family was asked to pay off all their late council fees immediately. It wasn't an amount they couldn't afford, but the Hojos recognized a fight was being picked with them and they responded to it. And so the Hojo family quit the town council. But that only played right into the village's evil plan. Making an enemy of the town council meant facing vicious harassment. For example, the place the Hojos dumped their trash was a provisional dumping site established by the town council and the waste management department. Under the council agreement, only council members could use it. Ever since the day the Hojo family quit the village council, their
That doesn't even seem smart. Like, you're just gonna leave trash in the middle of the street?
Their trash bags were returned to their front door. Furthermore, all the bags were torn. On top of that, a sign went up on the hedgerow near the Hojo family. It said, "Private road, no trespassing. Only council members permitted." A stubborn old man stood and guarded the road, saying that he would not let any of the Hojo family members pass through. A private road is private property opened up to the public, so it looks like a normal road. However, as private property, the owner can forbid anyone else to pass through whenever they like. More and more, the village piled on her vicious harassment. The fear of antagonism spread throughout the entire village, and people became afraid that if they supported the Hojo family, they'd go through the same thing. This has made the Hojo family even more isolated. The grown-ups haven't told their kids about what's going on, so Satoko isn't harassed in any way at school. It was hard to imagine she properly spent her days feeling so anxious she could hardly breathe. Even the women whispering in here aren't saying anything directly to Satoko, but it's not like she doesn't notice their muttering and cold stares. When did this village become so cold towards her? As her best friend, it's very sad for me. Satoko's shopping experience is nothing like mine. When I say hello or buy things, I usually get treats or a discount, but that doesn't happen to Satoko. On the contrary, she's served last on purpose, and sometimes shop owners even pretend they don't hear her. Obviously, people don't want to have anything to do with her. Satoko has been weaving through the housewives crowding the shop, telling the fishmonger what she wanted, but she kept getting ignored. She's decided to keep her smile and pretend she doesn't mind, but I know. It was far too painful for her to endure. At that point, Satoko dropped her coins on the ground. Maybe her finger got stuck on something when she was trying to put the change back in her wallet. I ran through the crowd to help her pick them up. But as I did, I noticed something. Satoko dropped a lot of coins and is struggling to pick them up, but nobody's helping her. It's not just that. It's almost like they're acting like they don't even see her there. Satoko wasn't expecting anyone to help her since she's the one that dropped them. But there are so many people around, and not even one is trying to aid her. Satoko, I'll help you. I'm okay, Rika. That reaction is all I need to know know how hurt she is. Furthermore, when I started to help Satoko, other housewives started to pick up coins too. As if it's the natural thing to do. So they can only help if a shrine maiden of the Furude family does? If I didn't help, they would have disregarded her completely. And the fact that other people helped only because I did hurt Satoko even more. I grabbed the coins from the housewife without even thanking them. I'd rather spit at them than do that. Thank you, Rika. Everyone. If she didn't thank them, people would talk about that too. Satoko forced out her words of gratitude. The housewives looked down at her with blank expressions. Can't stand this! I can't stand what Satoko's going through right now! If we're done, let's go, Satoko. Sure! I grabbed Satoko's arm and pulled her away. I was frustrated, sad, and bitter. What has Satoko done? Reality is just too cruel. Everyone loves me. But can I share that love with Satoko? Satoko must be wondering why people treat me so differently. I shouldn't come shopping with her. Or rather, I should have done her shopping instead. Satoko.
Well, what is it, Rika?
I feel bad that you dropped your coins. So, here's something that'll make you happy. I wanted to ease her pain a little, so I pulled out the strawberry milk candy I just received. But Satoko refused to take it.
That candy was given to you.
My hand froze. She saw me getting this candy.
That person wanted you to eat it. So if I did, it'd be rude.
Satoko turned her back on me and kept walking. Without even saying goodbye, she continued on to her house with the shopping bags in her hands. I only wanted to ease her pain, but I ended up rubbing salt in her wound. How can I call myself her best friend? If I could, I would have crushed the candy right there. Alright, well, we're gonna end that episode there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's gonna be a little kind of all over the place. I'm sorry about that. But yeah. Alright, I'll see you guys later. Sorry, I have thoughts in my head. It's just sad. Alright. Jenny, love you all.